Hi, I'm Adam Thompson, and this is my oral presentation over my white paper report on the City of Vancouver's implementation of the 2022 datum. A little background information about me. I am a land surveyor for the City of Vancouver. I provide construction support for all of the city's capital projects. When there's any construction happening in the city, I provide the location and elevation of where certain features need to be constructed. This is a project I worked on. This is the City of Vancouver waterfront park. There was 22 new city blocks, new roadways, sewers, utilities, basically everything. I met with engineers and land developers throughout the whole project and kind of managed the location of where everything went. My project covered how the city determines its vertical elevations for construction. The city is based on the National Geodetic Vertical Datum of 1929. It was a means of establishing sea level across the United States. There was tide boards set along the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, and these tide boards were then connected by over 50,000 miles of surveying across North America. This is kind of problematic. There was a lot of error in the instruments used at the time. This was done in like 1915, so like if you can imagine trying to survey 50,000 miles with equipment from 1915, you can kind of see where problems with the city's current use of this datum would exist. The National Geodetic Survey is implementing a new datum, which is basically a model to say like where sea level is no matter where you are. The National Geodetic Survey is a government agency that provides this information to the user, whether those are land surveyors or people exploring for oil or miners or basically anybody who needs to accurately measure the Earth's surface. Again, NGVD 1929, very inaccurate by today's standards. Pictured there below, I have two instruments from my collection that are period correct. The one on the left is called a theodolite, and the one on the right is called a highway level. This would have been the equipment used by the surveyors back in 1915 to establish NGVD 1929. By today's standards, those instruments are very inaccurate. I mean, they were great for the time. Like they definitely got stuff done, but it just doesn't make sense to use that anymore. The City of Vancouver currently uses elevations established by instruments of that vintage for its construction projects. Pretty problematic, if you can imagine that. I mean, like, it just, yeah, 50,000 miles of surveying with those instruments, and we're still relying on the elevation derived from them. There on the bottom left is, well, those two pieces of equipment are the equipment I use today to establish elevations for construction projects. The one on the left is a Leica that's a Trimble total station, and the one on the right is a Nikon highway level. The one on the left, I can measure about a mile away in one observation and hit it for distance to about 1/100th of a foot and vertically 5/100ths of a foot. And the one on the right, I can measure to the thousandths of a foot at 300 feet. So very accurate equipment. The 2022 datum is going to essentially it's going to supersede NGVD 1929. It's going to allow the city to more accurately provide elevations for its construction projects. It's no longer tied to the tidal boards that were placed across North America. Instead, what it uses is a geoid. Basically, a geoid is a model of the Earth with the sun, the moon, and land masses removed, and it's what sea level would assume if all those factors were taken out. So basically, you have a model of the Earth inside a GPS unit that gives you sea level exactly where you're at, and your elevations are derived off of that. A couple of reflections about this project. I was not aware of how much information I knew. I kind of just picked this topic and started writing. I didn't expect that it would kind of evolve into what I wrote. It helped me organize my thoughts about the datum change. And also, when I was at work, I would bring up what I was writing about to my team members, because, we are going to be the ones dealing with this datum change and how to best implement it to serve the city. And I brought up some great discussion points that, I believe helped my team's understanding with it as well. My challenges were mainly finding sources. There's not many sources on datum changes, or datums at all for that matter, other than the National Geodetic Survey. Also, time was a big challenge. It's very, very busy for me right now. I'm in the process of buying a house. I close on that tomorrow. I'm applying for a new job, getting all, basically been writing a resume too at the same time, and getting all my references in line. Construction season just started at the city, so I've been out 12 hours a day on construction sites doing road work and sewer work. And then, you throw school on top of that, and just, basically I'm shot for time for the entire week. New knowledge. The questions I asked at work really started some great conversations about how we're going to implement the 2022 datum. I mean, being able to rely on my team members and know what they knew about datums and geoids and NGVD 1929 and the way things were done in the past has been awesome. Great source of information for me. My advice for other people writing white paper reports for this class: pick a topic that you know about 3 times more than what you actually need to write your paper. When you know more about the subject than what you're going to put on the paper, it gives you flexibility to write and allow the paper to evolve how the paper needs to evolve to say what you're saying. It's like, if you know about a topic, 20 subtopics. Your paper is only going to be able to talk about 2 or 3 subtopics of those 30 topics that you know about. So it's really useful to be able to just start writing and then trim down from there. It's challenging to write about something that you don't know about, so you're discovering the topic as you're writing, which, I mean, in a way that's good for research papers, but not a white topic or a white paper, because you're really trying to sell the idea, and to be able to sell the idea you need to have a solid understanding of what you're writing about. All that gives you more flexibility and ideally makes it easier on you when you write your paper. Thank you.